All right, hello everybody. Welcome back to DEFCON Economics. I am your host, Devin. Well, thanks for joining me again. If you are a first-time viewer, please feel free after the video to leave a like, a comment, and maybe subscribe if you like what you heard and what you see. Well, it's kind of an easy episode today. This is episode number 5, and the title is The Absolute Ridiculousness of Fiat Currency and What It Leads to. So this episode is actually going to go out to someone in my life who asked a good question. While I was getting my coffee today, running errands with family, I went by my favorite coffee shop, and somebody that I will call Miss G. Miss G, if you end up listening to this, hello, thank you for everything you and the gals do to make coffee a just enjoyable experience every single time. Who knew? Good job, guys. So, Miss G asked me, as I was explaining I had begun a podcast, why prices are going up. And I gave her the short, the skinny on it, but I wanted to do a better job than that. So, having said that, I decided to make this episode. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go over a couple different things. We're going to first define fiat money. Then we're going to talk about money versus currency. Then I'm going to show you 2 modern examples, one a somewhat historical but still modern example, and another modern example of hyperinflation. And then I will show you that we actually used to back our currency with hard metals for a reason. And so we're just going to go over all that. So again, this is the absolute ridiculousness of fiat currency and what it leads to. So let's just start by defining it. As you can read here, this is Investopedia.com. They are a good source for just learning financial jargon and various other things, and you can use them and double check them against other sources. They tend to be fairly accurate. Now in this case, oh my goodness, they are not that accurate because they're calling it fiat money. There is a difference, and we will discuss that. So looking here, let's read. What is fiat? We're going to call it currency. Fiat currency is a government-issued currency that is not backed by a physical commodity, such as gold or silver, but rather by the government that issued it. The value of fiat money is derived from the relationship between supply and demand and the stability of the issuing government, rather than the worth of a commodity backing it. Most modern paper currencies are fiat currencies, including the US dollar, the euro, and other major global currencies. So for the uninitiated, if that sounds kind of weird, it's because it is. All right. So we kind of have a little bit of a definition. So now we're going to go on over to probably the most commonly used website for definitions, Merriam-Webster, and we'll just look at this. Definition of a fiat money. Again, not a money. Money, such as paper currency, not convertible into coin or specie of equivalent value. In other words, it used to be convertible into coin or specie of equivalent value. Almost all fiat currencies begin their life as an actual receipt on money, and we'll discuss that in a minute. But really quick, I thought it was interesting to look here. Examples of fiat currency in a sentence. Recent examples on the web. Since excessive inflation is one characteristic outcome of a fiat currency system, who is really surprised that such a moment might be on us again? And then down again. Politicians prefer the loose constraint of fiat currency, which serves as a steady source of revenue in normal times and a convenient tool to reduce, the real value of government debt outstanding in extraordinary times. Now, if that statement there sounded a little wordy, that's okay. We're going to keep moving on, and we're actually going to listen to someone who's pretty much an expert in money versus currency. You can see down here, his name is Mike Maloney. He has done something just fantastic. Actually, 10 different fantastic things The Hidden Secrets of Money, episode 1, and they go all the way up to 10. You can see here on the side there's some more episodes, this being one of the most important ones to watch. But for now, let's just listen to what Mr. Mike has to say about money versus currency.
The exchange of values. One of the reasons that we are in the financial mess that we are today globally is that people do not understand the difference between currency and money. Currency is a medium of exchange, a unit of account. It is portable, durable, divisible, and something called fungible. Fungible means that each unit is the same as the next unit. A dollar in my pocket buys the same amount as a dollar in your pocket. Money is all of those things plus a store of value over a long period of time. Even financial planners, bankers, your accountant, they don't understand the difference between currency and money. The currency in your pocket is a medium of exchange. It's a unit of account because it's got numbers on it. It's somewhat durable, it's portable, it's divisible in that you can make change, and it's fungible. A dollar in my pocket buys the same amount as a dollar in your pocket. But because governments can print more and more and more of it and dilute the currency supply, it's continually transferring wealth out of your pocket, out of your bank account, to the government and to the banking system.
All right, so that was Mr. Mike Maloney talking about money versus currency and where it goes and what it results in, and we're going to talk more about that. But for now, let's move over here. This is Mike Maloney again. This is his Hidden Secrets of Money, episode number 5. Where does money come from? So let's go ahead and just get right in it, or into it, I should say.
Base? It was the invention of money. Money is not evil. It is a magnificent tool that allows us to trade our specialized skills and to store our economic energy. Without it, we'd be struggling to feed ourselves each day, and our average lifespan would still be 30. In episode 1, we learned that real money has to fulfill certain properties in order to function. But 2,600 years after its emergence, people still confuse money with currency, even the so-called experts.
So they've got here some of the things about what money is. The first example here is money is whatever goes. So in earlier cultures, commodities such as cattle, stones, or metals were used as money. Buyers took the value of the goods on trust when making their purchase. Today, too, money is a question of confidence. So the currency, today isn't money, today we're using currency, but the only reason it has any purchasing power whatsoever is because yesterday your experience was that it purchased something. So you have faith that it's going to purchase something tomorrow. Otherwise, it has no value. Whatever form it takes, reliable money has 2 characteristics. It is genuine and it is stable. People can rely on its value. Well, you know, what fiat currency around the planet has maintained its value? They all fall in value. So right away you can see the difference. They're talking about currency here. And when they say it's genuine, I mean, what is genuine? A counterfeiter, somebody that's running their own printing press in their basement, is making genuine notes as far as he's concerned. I mean, they're genuine counterfeits. These things that just come off of a printing press, well, yeah, it's a genuine lie from a central bank or a government that you've got something that's going to store value for you, because it doesn't over long periods of time. It loses value. Gold, banknotes, and electronic money, meaning electronic currency, may be stored, divided up, or transported. As its material value has declined over time, its genuineness has had to be beyond question. Well, this one says that it's got to maintain its value, and right here they're contradicting the next one. The one thing here, gold, is the only thing that they're talking about that has not lost its value. In the past, rare goods were used as money. Today, central banks must ensure that the supply of money is restricted. Well, what are they doing all over the planet today? They're lifting all the restrictions on how much currency they're creating. They're flooding the planet with currency. The next display shows the
Okay, so that was a great little primer on just a couple different things from an actual monetary museum. Again, that was Mike Maloney, Hidden Secrets of Money, Episode 5, Where Does Money Come From? So I felt that it was important to get those two episodes and just a few things from them discussed and out there for you to listen to. And there's a reason for that. So I'm going to show you two modern examples of what printing currency does. So first of all, let's look at something. This is called the German Reichsmark. And no, has nothing to do with anything from World War II at all. In fact, this is, if I recall, pre-World War II. So if you look at this, it is a fiat currency, a piece of paper. But if you also happen to, so we're out here on eBay, you can see that these things, you can actually buy them. And isn't it interesting that they're actually worth more, like a $10 note? You pay $25 for a $10 note for something that hyperinflated into oblivion. Google Weimar hyperinflation. Again, that's Weimar hyperinflation. You can see how to spell it right here. So these pieces of paper, one that's worth 10 is worth 25 of our own for a piece of paper that hyperinflated. That is the absolute ridiculousness of fiat currency. There's a reason they don't use the Reichsmark anymore, and they are no longer used because they inflated into oblivion and were worth nothing anymore. Okay? So Mr. Maloney in these two videos was discussing that. And here is an example. It's not that far back, guys. There could still be people from this time or people from directly after this time who felt the effects of the Weimar hyperinflation who could still be around today, and that is modern. If somebody is around, that's considered modern. Not really modern, but you guys understand, right? You see here that this is not that long ago. It's maybe close to 100 years ago at this point, but you have to understand that's only basically one person's long, healthy lifetime. That's honestly not that far. It really isn't, guys. So I just wanted to stress that. And I also wanted to point out that if you look at a piece of silver from that time, well, look at that. Look at how much that is worth of our US fiat currency units. 250 units, whereas the fiat notes are worth much, much less. Do you think perhaps there's a reason for that? So anyway, let's continue onward. And now we get to the most commonly used modern day example of hyperinflation. So what are we looking at? Is this monopoly money? Is this joke money? Come on, what are you showing me? I am showing you the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe's currency. And no, this is not a joke. No, this is not made up. This is not Photoshop. You yourself can go to the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe's website and see why they claim this makes sense. If something costs you $100 trillion, that doesn't sound cheap. Or does it sound cheap to you? It doesn't sound cheap to me. If something costs $50 billion, that doesn't sound cheap. Does that sound cheap to you? I mean, look here. That's not the only example. Look. I mean, just look at this. Look. A $20 bill. What's the point of having a $20 bill if you have a $100 trillion bill? What? Do you see this? All of this? It is just insane. That's the actual insanity of paper currency. So now we're going to look at, in this episode here, he discussed gold, but we're also going to talk about silver now, because it's very important because it's a little bit more accessible than gold in terms of price, and availability, at least for now. That's why I felt like it was really important to get this video out to you guys. Please share this. Please send it out. Get it to as many people as you can. I don't give a crap about likes. I don't give a crap about people coming to my channel to monetize it or anything like that. This is all information based. You guys can see this here for yourselves. Go back and double check me. Try to prove all of this wrong. Do it, please. You should. Okay. Quick rant over. Let's talk about the Deutschmark again, or the Reichsmark, whichever you prefer to call it. So this here is the Deutschmark silver. Oh, hang on. I might have actually got this wrong. Hang on. Let's look at the Deutschmark. I might have gotten it wrong, and if I did, that's okay. We're learning together here. Deutschmark. We can learn together how to look for things. It's fun. Oh, I see. Okay, well, you know what? They're making it incredibly difficult for me to just find this simply. So, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about Deutschmarks. Okay, so let's see. So we need to look for something between 1919 and 1923. Let's go ahead and look for that together, guys. Deutschmark 1919, 1923. Oh my. Yeah, you can see these here. Okay. Oh my, look, see a million and mark. I'm pretty sure we all know. Holy moly, yeah, see, there you go. I mean, there's the example. I am sorry, guys, that I got you the wrong example at first, so hopefully I didn't waste anybody's time. You can just sub Reichsmark for Deutschmark at this point. But here you see 5 million mark for $5, 10 million mark for $10. 5 billion mark for $133. Why would you ever pay somebody for a piece of worthless hyperinflated fiat currency? Especially, why would you pay 133 units of currently inflating fiat currency for that? Can anyone answer that at all? I don't understand why you would. You know what? Maybe you're a collector. Maybe that's why. I don't know. I should not judge, and I'm not. So, again, apologies. Did not mean to do the Reichsmark. Meant to do the Deutschmark. I did not even know there was a difference. It says German Reich, Germany mark. Okay, so the German mark. I'm not sure if I even got it wrong. I'm not sure if there's a difference. Feel free to correct me. It's kind of hard to tell with fiat currencies what the actual difference is. I'm going to be entirely honest. I look at this and I see this, to be entirely frank, because this is where they all end up, guys. Try to prove that wrong. Remember, we went back over what fiat money is, and what does it say, just like Mike Maloney? Fiat currency is a government-issued currency that is not backed by a physical commodity such as gold or silver. And now that I properly got you guys to the Deutschmark, I am terribly sorry. Let's talk about something else. Okay, chart of the day. This is from SD Bullion, a silver and gold dealer, and this is the chart of the day, Deutschmark silver during Weimar hyperinflation. Let's just look right at the chart. So again, here are these marks, these fiat currencies. Again, fiat currencies, that's what they are. You see this? Okay, good. One more time, fiat currency. Now, look here. This is how many marks a unit of silver was worth from between 1919 and 1923. Good dear Lord, look at that. And if you're a silverback on here, and for anybody who doesn't know, that's a reference to somebody from the Wall Street Silver Reddit forum. How y'all doing, by the way? Look here. You can see that there was a long flat dip in the price. Right? And I don't think they even had something like the COMEX necessarily back then. So it would be even worse if they did, I imagine. But look at that dip. It seems like this is where we are. It was a period of months where you just hit this dip and there were slow ramp, slow ramp, slow ramp, and then it absolutely rocketed off into space. So look at the progress that it made. So here we start all the way down at 10 marks, we get up here to, looks like about 500 marks, flatline back down to about 75 marks for a while, and then it starts to jump to 100, up to what looks like about 700 to 800 marks. It jumps up past 1,000. It doesn't stop. It jumps up to past 10,000. What does this remind you of, guys? If you're out there, I know you guys know what I'm talking about, but what does this remind you of? And then it just left the absolute stratosphere. How did it go from $10 to nearly $1 billion in 1919 to 1923? Do you think it could have something to do with the fact that it wasn't backed by gold and silver, which cannot be printed? Despite what you may hear out there, there is no 3D printer that can print gold and silver out of thin air. They have to be mined with oil and diesel. No solar and wind will not work, at least not until we do some serious innovation on that. Okay, that's another video I will be doing a different time. Okay, so now we are having an understanding of what silver does. Okay, and you can go back, you know, and go here to bullion mark. Let's check the source, right? Oh, sorry, I can't go to Australia's website, unfortunately. Here, let's see if we can't find. Oh, here, there we go. I see one that's even better, but let's take a look here, if it'll load for me. Here is an actual picture. The Weimar hyperinflation, I believe. I'm not entirely sure, but let's go back. Here we go, mining.com. Here you go. And that's gold too. And so now let's discuss inflation. So we can see that gold and silver hold their value against the fiat currencies that are printed. And you yourself can look into this and see that, you know, gold and silver, they're mined in the grams per ton range. So think about a ton. You've seen an elephant, right? And then have you ever seen peanuts? Those are grams. Think about the fact that these are peanuts to elephants. There you go. There's a good analogy for it. Grams per ton, peanuts to elephants, right? Grams per ton, peanuts to elephants. That's a fantastically simple example, and it's good. It makes sense. Elephants like peanuts. Peanuts are in the gram range. Elephants are in the ton range. Okay, so you get that? That's how they mine it. Feel free to go and check and see if I'm right. Okay, it's really hard to get, guys. Silver's actually hard to get, or hard to get her. Excuse me. Silver is actually harder to get and extract than some other metals, okay? Look into that. Not only that, then there's the whole process of purifying and getting it shipped and blanked and etched and then shipped to the consumer. And think these days with all the supply chain issues out there, think about that. This was just because they were printing a lot compared to their silver and compared to their gold. Gold went absolutely astronomical, and so did silver. And you may have heard some arguments out there, oh, there's tons of silver out there. Well, there's a finite amount of silver compared to paper and trees and other sources that could be used to make a currency. In fact, if they really wanted to, I'm sure they could recycle all the other fiat currencies. Wow, what a fitting end that would be. So we can see that. It makes sense. Okay, let's move on. Let's talk about inflation. Inflation is the decline of purchasing power of a given currency over time. A quantitative estimate of the rate at which the decline in purchasing power occurs can be reflected in the increase of an average price level of a basket of selected goods and services in an economy over some period of time. The rise in the general level of prices, often expressed as a percentage, means that a unit of currency effectively buys less than it did in prior periods. Inflation can be contrasted with deflation, which occurs when the purchasing power of money increases, currency, and prices decline. Okay. You can see here the key takeaways. Feel free to read them while I talk. But what I want to point out, I want to simplify this. So it's the decline of purchasing power of a given currency over time. See, that's not a money. They're not interchangeable, because only gold and silver are monies. They hold value over long periods of time. We discussed that with Mike. And feel free to do your own research. Please check it out. You know, we've got Google and Bing. It's not that hard to just watch a video or two and see, is that crazy guy I heard right? Right? Okay. So this is simplified basically by saying that the more currency is in circulation and exchanging between hands, the higher prices are going to go because there's less value. So I like to use an example for my friends and family. When Picasso passed away, the price of his paintings only ever increased in any fiat currency at all, because he was no longer making those paintings. Think of a painting. Once that artist is no longer able to paint anymore, the value of that absolutely skyrockets if they're what the art world considers a good painter, right? A gifted painter. Okay, so that's a good example of a painting, right? People like rare paintings, elite people, right? Or even just people who like paintings. Well, they're expensive, the nice ones, right? There's a reason for that. Even though they're on paper, even though it's with ink and this and that, it's the expression of beauty, the expression of the human creative capacity, and that has value. And sometimes, to some people, astronomical amounts. But compared to the piece of paper, right? Let's look back again. Let's draw it all back again. Fiat currency is a government-issued currency that is not backed by a physical commodity, such as gold or silver, but rather by the government that issued it. Okay, we looked at what happens when a government issues currency. We looked at what gold and silver do, right? I'm showing this to you. Go do your own research, look into it, look at charts today. Silver's right here today. We're not even in takeoff territory just yet. Maybe we even have a little bit longer. Okay? And that's a good thing if you want to get some. Same thing. Oh, sorry. Here, they're both, oh my goodness, they're both in almost the exact same trajectory. I mean, good Lord. Actually, gold has a shorter takeoff time, it looks like. So there you go. Okay? Now you have kind of an understanding that there's currency being printed into absolute oblivion. Hyperinflation, let's talk about that, because that could be the next step, and it may take a while, but almost all currencies experience this. There is not a single currency that has succeeded, not one, and this may very well be the reason. Hyperinflation is a term to describe rapid, excessive, and out of control general price increases in an economy. While inflation is a measure of the pace of rising prices for goods and services, so if you need to get gas, a good, that's what inflation is measuring. If you need to get a service like a massage and that went up, that's what inflation is measuring. Hyperinflation is rapidly rising inflation, typically measuring more than 50% per month. Here's a fun, easy way to look at percentages, okay? Ready? If you think 25%, 50%, any percent amount, think of cents on the dollar, okay? If $1 is 100 pennies, okay, so if you went in and you paid $1 for something, if it went up 50%, now you're paying $1.50. If it went up 75%, now you're paying $1.75, okay? So if something's going up 50% per month, let's say it was $50, well, it's going to go up $25 from $50 to $25. Let's say it's going up 75. Okay, it's just do you see what I'm saying? It just goes and goes and goes. Now, although hyperinflation is a rare event for developed economies, it has occurred many times throughout history in countries such as China, Germany, Russia, Hungary, and Argentina. And I want to read these key takeaways. Hyperinflation refers to rapid and unrestrained price increases in an economy, typically at rates exceeding 50% each month over time. Hyperinflation can occur in times of war and economic turmoil. Does that sound familiar? In the economic turmoil in the underlying production economy, in conjunction with the central bank printing an excessive amount of money. We are getting bills that are in the trillions printed by our central banks. Not necessarily the individual bills say $1 trillion, quite like the Zimbabwe $100 trillion. But you can see here, Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe. So I didn't make this up. I didn't make this up. I didn't make this up. These are historical examples of things that have happened. And this is a more recent example. And this is an extremely recent example still going on today. And it's really bad for people because it destroys their ability to buy goods and services and be productive and help the economy. And people often conflate, which means confuse badly, inflation with capitalism. It's MMT, which is modern monetary theory, which is the idea that by printing money you can make it better. There's nothing modern about that. I mean, this isn't even that far back of an example, but I can show you much worse ones, I promise. This is a very recent example, and did the Federal Reserve go to a class? That's our central bank here in America. Did they go to the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe's seminar on how to hyperinflate a currency? They're printing trillions of dollars. Look into it. Google Biden's Build Back Better initiative. Look into that, right? $1.2 trillion. What about the $3.5 trillion that we did last time? So it's something to think about, guys, that like we're printing in the trillions. And so if you think the people in the US are as responsible, or more responsible, I should say, than the people at the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe, I'm going to go ahead and argue they're probably not. And we're seeing inflation now, but how long is it? How many more trillions before we see hyperinflation? And, some people have claimed out there that they're going to taper and stop printing money to purchase things and this and that. And I'm not going to get into arguments out there about that. There will be different videos I do. But I really wanted to show like the absolute ridiculousness of fiat currency. It's ridiculous, guys. How we still have this system in place is only because a lack of understanding for it. So that's what this was about, educating you guys on everything I could with as many resources as I could while still trying to make an under 45-minute video. So guys, look, this is all stuff you can look into yourself. It's all going on. This is what it did in the most recent actual series, hyperinflation. In fact, I challenge you to go see what gold and silver are worth in Zimbabwean dollars. You'll be even more shocked. Inflation, we went over that. Hyperinflation, what that is, what it could be. Hyperinflation can cause a surge in prices for basic goods, such as food and fuel, as they become scarce. Hyperinflations, while typically rare, once they begin, can spiral out of control. That's really important, guys, right there. Can spiral out of control. Okay? You yourself have seen prices going up. You cannot deny it. You know it. I know it. We all know it. So look here. I'm trying to help. I'm trying to get resources out here. It might be a long listen, guys, and I'm super sorry for that, and I apologize for wasting a little bit of time on the Reich versus the Deutschmark, if there is a difference. But these are important things to understand, important things to have a couple different angles on, and as much as I like to make short videos, which I'm about to pound out a couple more that are quick and simple and easy for you guys, I had to make this for the Wall Street silver people out there trying to wake people up, people like David Morgan, people like Andy Schechtman, Chris Marcus, all these different people getting out there and trying to wake you and people like myself up, educate us. They're smarter than me. I'm going to try to get them on this channel for you. If you hear passion in my voice, if it sounds like I'm excited to be here with you guys and talk to you, it's because I am. So I hope this was helpful. I hope that discussing fiat money was useful for you. If I was stumbling over my words a little bit and a little bit difficult to understand, I apologize. I was trying to get through the information relatively quick, while at the same time highlighting a lot of different stuff and maybe seeing if I couldn't show you guys a few things or two. So we started our journey way over here on my tabs, ended on hyperinflation. I'm not making any predictions, by the way. I want to show you what fiat currency is, what money is, what the differences are, what the Deutschmark did, what Zimbabwe is doing, what silver and gold did during the last major hyperinflation, which was in the Deutschmark, and what the definition of inflation is versus hyperinflation so that we just have an understanding. All right, guys, lecture over. If you like what you heard, okay, please comment, like, and subscribe, and give me any feedback at all that you can. You won't hurt my feelings. It's pretty hard. So, again, I hope this was useful. Miss G, thank you for inspiring this video and inspiring me to get it done sooner. And thanks so much for being here with me, guys. I'm going to get Chris Marcus and Andy Schechtman on this podcast as soon as possible. I am going to hound them until I get them on here. I'm just joking, but they're going to get on here, guys. So, again, this has been DEFCON Economics, episode number 5, the absolute ridiculousness of fiat currency and what it leads to and what it could lead to. But what it does lead to is definitely inflation. We're there. And hopefully I gave you guys an idea of what you can do about it without sounding preachy. So thanks again, guys. This has been Devin of DEFCON Economics, signing off.